Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you again. As you know, we have the screen on, but it's not an interactive briefing, but a minute and a half, more or less, video of the PGA in Lake Chad. A very nice video that is already on Twitter. But if you didn't check the tweet, you're going to have to see the chance to see it on a bigger screen. But let's start with her trip to Nigeria, because the President of the General Assembly is in Abuja today, where she met the President of the country, Mr. Muhammadu Buhari, the Foreign Minister, His Excellency Geoffrey Onyeama, and other members of the cabinet. The PGA commended Nigeria's global and regional leadership in pursuit of peace and stability, and the country's role in support of multilateralism. Mrs. Espinosa also visited the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development under the leadership of Her Excellency, Ms. Aisha Abubakar. She took part in an interactive discussion on the role of women and girls in the promotion of multilateralism. María Fernanda Espinosa said that there is no way we will achieve our vision of a safer, fairer, and more sustainable world without the full participation and leadership of women and girls. She pointed out that although this might seem an obvious thing to do or to say or to point out, we need to say it over and over again, because clearly we are still a long way off achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. The PGA also is in the country to strengthen the ties between the country and the United Nations and to discuss the priorities of the General Assembly. She's meeting also with representatives of civil society, the UN country team in Nigeria, and youth to listen to their views on how the UN can be even more relevant to all people. During her visit to Abuja, Mrs. Espinosa is also speaking to students at the University of Abuja on responding to global challenges in a fast-changing world, the case for strengthening multilateralism. She said that by 2030, half of the world's population will be under 30 years old, and 42% of these young people will be African citizens. Before departing from Nigeria, Mrs. Espinosa will grant interviews to national and international media outlets. Tomorrow, 8 May, she will leave Abuja to Accra, Ghana, her last stop in this official travel to Africa. More on the President's visit to Africa on our website, un.org/pj/73. And now, before I take your questions, let's cross over to UN TV and see if we have our video. Our colleagues today helped us with the video, so let's see. Do you have the video, Tom? Yes? Let's go. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup de la bienvenue. Monsieur le secrétaire général, enchanté.
Et le prix varie également selon la période. Le prix varie selon la période. Donc en termes d'explication, nous avons des partenaires de mise en œuvre.
Ils nous ont beaucoup amené des choses. Même les cabris, on a dit on a attaché à lui.
Here here it is a living example on the terrible effects of climate change in livelihoods, but also in security aspects and in the rights of people in general.
So thank you very much to our colleagues from UNTV, BCSS, Lake Chad. Lake Chad, yes, that was on Sunday. Yes, that's when she was in charge, yes, on Sunday. And now she's in Nigeria. So this is basically it. Do you have any questions? Yes, Errol. How are you?
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Monica, just how dangerous it was for President of General Assembly to be there. We saw the soldiers, number one. Number two, since she's not going to be in the in her chair of presiding of the General Assembly during the summit on climate, is she going to play any other role for that summit?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, the question of security, I mean, we all know the situation in Lake Chad, and but all the security details were, of course, taken in consideration. So not only for the PJ, but for the team which traveled with her. So that all the security protocols had to be cleared in order for her to be there. But this is a very courageous lady, as you know very well. So she was a defense minister of her country, and this is not the first trip that she took under difficult circumstances. But as we see, everything went well. So she was very grateful to the government of Chad, which gave her the support, and to the team as well, the needed support. Okay, in regard with the summit, this is a very good question. Actually, she is highly involved in the preparation of the summit, and she also appointed two co-facilitators. As you know, this is one of our priorities, one of Mrs. Espinosa's priorities in her 7 priority agenda for this current session. And yes, she is circulating in contact with member states, and they are discussing several ideas. She herself presented very good ideas already for the concept, and yeah, preparations are going well. Yes, I have you, and then 2 colleagues in the back. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's a microphone, yeah, it's there somewhere. Okay, well done. Good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
There's been reports of the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. Will this be one of the topics, or was this one of the topics that the president took up with the government of Nigeria?
Yeah, the president is meeting, the president of the General Assembly is meeting the president of the country. This is the safety of worshippers in all religions is actually a matter of concern for the president. You know that she was very involved in the discussion and the resolution that the General Assembly adopted just last month in regard with security of worshippers everywhere, but especially in houses of worship. After what happened, of course, in New Zealand, but also in a synagogue in the zone, I mean, in the U.S., as we know, and also in a, as you very well pointed, in a Christian church in Burkina Faso. This is a matter that has to be taken very seriously, and everybody, I mean, not only religious leaders, local leaders, national leaders, but everybody has a role to play. And also it starts with combating and tackling hate speech. But thank you. Go ahead. And then I have Abdul Hamid.
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah.
You mentioned all the topics that the president discussed with the Nigerian leaders, but I didn't hear you mention how the government of Nigeria is combating the problem created by Boko Haram terrorists. Was she briefed about this?
Absolutely. If you go to her Twitter account, and yesterday we briefed on this, she met a lady called Halima, who was actually a victim of Boko Haram, somebody who was kidnapped at the age of 15 and forced to become a militant, a member, and ended up in a public area with explosives attached to her body, and thankfully these explosives didn't go off. So she went on to become a paralegal, and today she's actually working as an activist with other women and other people. So yes, that was a matter that she discussed and that she's very aware of. Abdul Hamid.
Thank you, Monica.
Yes, go ahead.
Maria Fernanda Espinosa was the chair of the 77 and China the year before Egypt.
That's true, Ecuador, yeah.
And now the chair is Palestine. Is there any contact between her and the current chair of the group of 77 to give him advice, ideas, or any kind of consultation? The second, as a president of the General Assembly, had she considered visiting Gaza as a humanitarian disaster looming there for many years? Is she considering visiting the Gaza Strip? Thank you.
No, thank you for your question. In regard with the visits that the PJ undertakes, they are agreed well in advance, and this is actually request or an invitation that comes from the state. In the three countries here, she was invited by the three presidents, and she's also meeting with the respective presidents in Ghana, in Chad, and also in Nigeria. So, as you know, we are already 7 months into this presidency. The travel diary is finalized, but I don't have any further information on visits to Gaza or to Israel. About the relationship, you are absolutely spot on. She was, Ecuador was the president, and she has experience working with the G77. It's a group that she works very closely with, whose contributions she values a great deal. But it's also a group that works closely with this presidency as well. So you will recall that when they took over, she was there. So other UN officials, like the Secretary General, and the relationship is a very strong one, and it keeps on going on very well. Okay, so this is Mr. Abadi. Yes, you have the mic. Go ahead.
Thank you, Monica. The president discussed with the president of Nigeria the question of multilateralism. African leaders, as you know, always emphasize the issue of inequality. How does the president think that the multilateralism will help reduce the problem of inequality?
Well, for this president, multilateralism is the answer for our global challenges, inequality being one of those challenges. It's, of course, a concern that she has on the top of her agenda. I think we talked about that the other day here. Inequality is crossing over the 7 priorities that the president has. She herself comes from a region which unfortunately has a high record of inequality, which is Latin America and the Caribbean. She has been working with this theme for a long time. And yes, in Africa, she talked about the question of the importance and the challenges to the economy, to development, also to young people, because as you just mentioned, African citizens will be a large part of young people by 2030. So you all know that young people need good education, need to develop their full potential, but also need opportunities and decent work. So yes, this was one of the subjects that she discussed with the important parties and her interlocutors, not only the heads of states, but also other ministers like the Minister of Women, young people, and other members of the cabinet. Okay, so I think Steph must be coming anytime soon. I will leave you with him. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. If you don't have any other questions, I'm just checking around the room. No? Okay, good. So I see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you very much.